Hey guys, welcome back to K&S Get Out. Today is an unexpected day. We had, along with a lot of you, if you live anywhere in the Midwest, give or take like 6 or 7 states, we had storms roll through last night. There were some touchdowns of tornadoes just miles from here. And Shannon and I were here out on the land, and we were in with Mr. Bruno, and it hit us as well. No tornado, but boy, see this behind me?
It was scary. It was really, really scary.
Yeah, and this is just a little bit of it. This is definitely the biggest tree that came down. We had straight line winds. It was ripping. Yeah, and Bruno got his first taste of a big scary storm. He didn't like it. We didn't like it for him, but he was a trooper.
He handled it really well. I sat in the floor with him and played with his toys after we lost power. And
I think it's because you were so scared. Bruno was like, I gotta be tough. He did a good job.
I'll take it. I was scared. That was the most scared I've ever been in a storm. Ever. Yep.
I've been through a lot of big storms, but yeah, this one, just because we're not familiar with exactly which way trees are gonna go, you know, you can over evaluate it, but at the end of the day, you gotta hold each other and pray. That's what we did. And the good Lord was watching out for us. We are okay. Our structures are okay. And thank goodness all the animals are absolutely fine.
Yep. And all of our family is okay too. I just want to throw that out there for those of you who think about us and our family. All of our family is safe too.
Yeah. But guys, look at this tree. You guys know we are in the area right now that we have been clearing of late. Shannon's office is right there. Camper's over here. And this was one of our massive oaks that we wanted to leave. We were trying to clean all the little trees around it so that it and that big one, the other big ones over there, could flourish and get all the nutrients they need and everything. However, comically, sometimes when you make plans, God has a better plan in mind. And this was one of those that, you know, honestly, it would have taken something like this for us to know that the base of this is totally rotted out. We had no idea by just looking at it as a standing tree. It looked pretty much just like that one or the big one over there.
Yeah, I thought it was super healthy.
Yeah. I mean, we had this here, obviously a little bit of, I don't know if that's termites or ants. I've seen ants crawling all over it, but a little bit of that going on. I mean, this is probably, if I had to guess, 60 to 80-year-old oak. So, you know, just by looking at it, it didn't look like there was a problem, but clearly this was not a healthy tree, at least down here at the base. And I'll be real honest, guys, Shannon and I were in the office. We were with Bruno for his last outing. The rain hadn't quite started yet. We could hear the thunder rolling. We could see the lightning cracking. And we knew it was coming. We were watching the weather. I was talking to my brothers. I was talking to my folks. Everybody was communicating, but we tried to get Bruno taken care of before it hit Shady Acres hard. And ironically, we got him out to go to the bathroom and everything before any rain started. However, we were still hanging out in the office with him, just kind of wearing him out before bedtime because, you know, he's a puppy. And all of a sudden, it just started ripping. And we heard the winds, we heard things smacking the top of the office. I still am not 100% sure.
I don't know either, but
my assumption is it's some of these limbs from this tree here were just whipping over. But then we heard what we thought was literally going to be the office getting smashed or worse, you know, with us in there. And we heard this tree come down with vengeance. So Nala was still down in the camper. Of course, the goats and everybody down in their pen. We made the executive decision that I was going to run through the straight line winds and the rain down to the camper.
Pouring rain. I want to highlight that. Pouring rain, raining sideways. You could barely even see the camper when you look out the window.
I couldn't open my eyes. I couldn't see when I was going, but I felt that I was running through water, standing water, down that hill. That's not a place that water stands, but it was coming down so hard, so fast that all I felt the whole way running down to the camper was water. And then once I got to the bottom of that, what we call the impromptu driveway, I mean, I was walking almost ankle deep in water. It was coming in hot and furious. So I had left the camper door open and had the screen door open. We were just, you know, utilizing some of the good temperatures, good weather. And Princess Nala was in there. And I knew the winds were going to be blowing rain in there. So that's why I took off. This tree, fortunately, was already down. I didn't know it at the time because I couldn't see at all. And so when I got down there, I text back up to Shannon. She was fine. Her and Bruno were fine. Nala was, of course, scared. She doesn't like storms. But I got the door closed, so we didn't have too much water get into the camper. But this is just one of the messes that we now have to clean up. And it's no big deal. It's just living in the Midwest. It's pretty common. But, you know, back in the city, we had one tree. And if that thing went down, for one, it was pretty small. But two, it's not so much a problem. Out here, we rode the trail. There's a ton of little oak sprigs all over the place that had come down. There's also a really big limb that I had been worried about. We'll show you that in a little bit, on beyond the tractor and all the other stuff right up there. And that was one I was worried that someday it may come down and it would hit my shed. Thank the Lord, again, it kind of stayed off to the right a little bit. It did not do any damage to the shed. We were just so very blessed. And
God was definitely protecting us.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any other way to say it.
Yeah. And, you know, in typical fashion, the very next day, it took till about 11 a.m., but we didn't have power last night. We didn't have power this morning. We were just kind of coming out, taking care of the animals, assessing everything. And then blue skies, humid and warm, nice breeze. But, you know, the aftermath is typically a very nice day. It's very beautiful. But we've got...
It's so crazy to me, really.
It is.
It comes in like a lion, and then it's just like, oh, blue skies.
Yeah. It's part of it. We both have been in the Midwest since we were born. We're very used to thunderstorms, thunder warnings, tornado warnings, the whole 9 yards. But it's a little bit different when you have these large of trees around your animals and your structures and stuff. And guys, we've had ripping winds. I mean, 50, 60, I thought even potentially up to 70 miles an hour before, here, while we were here. And nothing compares to what it did to this big oak right here. Well, just for a reference.
We've come out several times before, whenever we had bad storms, expecting to see a bunch of trees down and all that, and that hasn't been the case.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I went around the trail, and a lot of the standing deads that were just the main portion of the tree are still up.
Yeah.
There were a few back there that came down, but a lot of my widowmakers that I was just like, hey, you know, maybe a blessing in disguise, those widowmakers are down. They're not. This one, because it rotted at the base and because it had this much weight up top, that's why it was a candidate for coming down. So easily the biggest destruction on the land is this guy right here. And it's hard to tell just by looking at it from a distance, but there's a good 4, 5, maybe 6 trees that also fell victim to this.
I think I counted 6 this morning.
6 or so?
Yeah.
So we were trying to make decisions as to which trees we were keeping and which were going, and this tree, that storm, did it for us. But guys, seriously, you know, the way that the storm came in, the direction the wind was blowing, if this had gone toward that office with a 2x4 roof and just the 2x6 loft, I don't know that structure could have withheld to keep Shannon and myself and Bruno safe. So very, very grateful, obviously, that it came this way, but that could have been a different story.
Yeah. I actually still get emotional thinking about it. Sorry. Because we were in there the whole time, and it wasn't until I finally put Bruno down and I was heading back down to the camper to go join Kyle, and I was like, man, I gotta figure out, by then the rain had let up, and I was like, I gotta figure out what was hitting the office. And as I walked around on that side, I didn't see anything, and it wasn't until I came over here and realized what happened, and I immediately went inside and told Kyle, God saved us, God blessed us, He protected us, because this is just, it's incredible. If the wind had been going a different direction, there's just no telling what could have happened.
Well, even if this tree had naturally been leaning a little more that direction, even if the wind was coming from this way, the weight of the tree would have taken it that way. So both the lean of the tree, the way the wind was blowing, all the factors, we were very protected, very blessed. We are very grateful for that. But, you know, I don't know, you could play, if you guys aren't familiar with this type of weather, you could play 100,000 different scenarios out. In fact, I've kept my tractor out here many a time, especially if I'm working on clearing this area. If my tractor were out here, it could have been smashed. There's one of the trees right there. I mean, look at this. This was actually one of the ones in question.
That's the redbud tree.
That's the redbud.
I wanted to keep it.
We were waiting to determine whether or not it was going to come down, but again, that is no longer even something we have to debate. I mean, you can even see, guys, it's like almost 4:30 in the afternoon, and we've never had water standing like this. I don't know how well you can see it, but it's still wet. I think we got over an inch of rain in a very short amount of time. It's just incredible. And you know, not only were we safe up in the office, there's my truck. There's Shannon's dad's dump truck. There's my trailer back there. Here's our main power panel and pole with the transformer. I mean,
like 15 feet.
All of this stuff is right here. And this is where the tree is. I mean, I'm talking like 8 feet from its tallest branch to my truck. So maybe until I started talking about it with you guys, did it not actually kind of set in a little bit. But yeah, putting all that stuff together, my goodness.
It's a lot to take in.
Very blessed. I mean, look at that. That is a tree right there, guys. And that is probably right there where it broke. I bet that's about 8 inches across, maybe 7, and just straight snapped it. Obviously snapped that guy, bent it over, and I think there's about 2, 3, 4 more in there somewhere.
Yep.
The fun and ironic part is this area that we were cleaning, this is where I used my chainsaws, I used my tractor, and I dulled all, I think I have 7, 8, maybe 9 different chains across my 2 or 3 saws. I dulled every single one of them up, and I left them in the shed, and I thought, yeah, I'll get them sharpened one day, or I'll get the files out and do it myself. So this morning I gathered them all up and I took them into town to a small business that they don't charge too much for it, because some do, and dropped all of them off. Me and every other person in this area that does cleanup work or has land, we were all in there. I just saw so many chains hanging, and I could hear the grinder in the back room. They were just going to town. They were very polite about it, but I said, hey guys, look, this is a personal thing. I'm doing it for me. I'll pick up a new chain for my 24-inch bar, which I needed anyway. So I have one chain for my 24-inch bar, which is a little overkill for limbing and everything, but it'll cut. And they're gonna call me, and I told them, hey, I'll come back tomorrow or the next day, whenever it works best. I want all the folks that are helping other folks or running a business, I want them to get back in business. This is just cleanup for us. That being said, the goats are gonna help. You see all these little guys right here? These are just little oak sprigs coming up off of, oh my goodness, we have so many oaks out here. They are all over the place.
Yeah, I already filled up one little wagon full, trailer full of sprigs that I've been picking up, and so we're just gonna let the goats get out and help us, and they can eat whatever they want to eat.
Yeah, I do have one gripe. We all got a gripe, right? So we woke up this morning, like I said, without any power. Fortunately, it was perfect weather for that. In other words, we couldn't run the air in the camper, so we opened up the windows and everything, and we were like, you know what, let's drive around and see if we can figure out, make sure it's not our transformer or our power lines up to our land. It wasn't. And so we kind of did our big, I don't know how many miles it is, there's a big country square mile out here that we do, and we saw the power company. In fact, right after we left, our notification went off that somebody was at our driveway, and it was actually them backing their big massive trailer up with the power poles, the replacements on it, and they parked it in our front lawn. And if I'm being real honest, they didn't leave a single rut. Good job, guys. They backed in, they were very polite about it. We actually like our power company, believe it or not. I know it sounds crazy. Nobody likes their power company. This is actually a different power company than we had in the city, and I like these guys a whole lot better. But the tree service that they utilize, I saw bucket trucks running up and down all morning long, and they decided, I don't know if they saw the power company using our driveway, but they decided that would be a great turnaround place for them. They can't keep it on the driveway. I've got ruts on either side of my driveway. It's so rude. I mean, they're just whipping in and whipping out, and you've seen how beautiful it is up there. Okay, little rant. I feel better.
Are you done ranting?
I wanted power back. I wanted power back for all the people that live out here in this area. So it'll be totally fine. All right, I'm gonna fire up the chainsaw, see if I can't do a little bit of cleanup. This is not gonna get done in one day.
Hey, I just want to point out, Kyle has safety glasses, chaps, and gloves on today. It's kind of a big deal.
Making fun of my PPE?
I'm not making fun of it. I was talking about how smart you're being.
This is a bit of a beast, and I don't want there to be any twists or turns that I'm not anticipating, so we're just gonna take our time and get into it.
Sounds good.
Safely. A lot of pressure on that one. It's liable to twist this way if I try to cut that out. We'll hold off.
Okay. Mind the way?
Nope. Now I'm protected by this tree. I'm gonna try to cut this splinter where it broke this other little tree.
Okay. That had a lot of tension on it. I guess that wasn't holding it up. How about a tree for your face?
This is the tree that got pinned down.
Oh, I see it now.
Notice how I use protection? Stay back here.
That's smart. am always so proud of Kyle whenever he gets his chainsaw out, because he thinks through every cut before he actually makes it. He looks at all the angles. I just walked into a spider web. He looks at all the angles. He looks at every branch. He is so meticulous about his cuts before he actually makes them. And I'm so proud of him for that, because it's not like this is something that he grew up doing. He doesn't know, but he has taken the time to learn and research and watch so many videos on arborists and just all the things. And I am so thankful for him, because this is not something that I could be doing. For one, that chainsaw is heavy. For two, it has a 24-inch bar on it. That makes it even harder to maneuver, to hit the limbs without hitting the ground. Like, it's a lot. And so I am just so thankful for him, because if this were me on my own, I would be calling somebody right now to come out and help. So he's the best. I love him. I'm so thankful for him. It's like a whole entire branch. Superman!
Something like that. It's these guys.
Oh, vines.
They get you every time.
You made quick work of that. Good job.
Thank you. This is where I've got to be very careful. As you can see, this tree over here, he's only being held down by that little branch right there. Shouldn't be that big of a deal, but look at this guy.
Oh, wow.
You see how he's stretched and cracked right there? There's a lot of tension on that, so if I just cut that, you know, this part will obviously stay okay because it's in the ground. What will happen here, it's likely that this will flip out. However, look a little closer, there's another one right here, and it's pinched under the big oak that came down. So I've got to think through what order to cut these in so that I don't get whacked with one of these trees under tension.
I definitely don't want you to get whacked.
I don't either. So, you know, at this point, you just kind of undress it one branch at a time until you get it down to all the ones that have some kind of pressure on them, whether tension, compression, whatever. And just make sure not to cut those, to roll the tree over or to whip yourself with something like this. This one, I could probably stand back here and make some relief cuts. That way, no matter what it does, if it wants to go out that direction, I'll be on that side. I think I'll start with the little guy because he's gonna have a whole lot less potential energy stored up, ready to smack me.
Great idea. So like I said, he's safe, he's smart, he thinks through all of his cuts before he actually makes them. I don't think ahead that far enough, so I'm super thankful.
There's not much on this one. I think it's just more so that it got pulled down. So I may try to cut that one out. Just stand back a little bit because there is a little bit of tension on that right there.
Okay.
Look at the ants. Just came out of a hurry. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
This is a dangerous one. Probably gonna have to get the pole saw just so I can kind of see what I'm doing. Cut some of these branches from this tree that it snapped right there, because what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to cut this all the way back to where it's making ground contact, because that's when, of course, all the pressures come into play, and I don't want to make one of those cuts now and have the tree go haywire on me and knock me out.
I don't want that either.
Yeah, so I did feel there's some tension. You see this big branch right here. See that crack?
Yeah.
So that's pressing upward on this other branch that was right by it. So there's tight contact right there, and I felt that pinch my blade. And so this obviously is this is what's keeping the tree from coming this way, aside from the fact that it's locked up in that other tall tree right there. Fortunately, that one's all broke down there, but I've got to strip this back till I'm very, very comfortable with each one of those cuts. And even still, I may phone a friend that I know has spent more time doing this than myself. That's going to be a little tricky. That's what's keeping it from going that way. This is what's keeping it from coming this way. And honestly, it touches the ground here, over there, right underneath that one, and then everything else is up in that tree. You know, so ideally, I'd go over there and cut that real thick one right there, but the tree could roll that direction, and there's no telling what's gonna happen when that comes apart when I finish that cut. So I just want to get everything out of the way, make that assessment. But for today, I think I'm going to get to studying and go get some crying goaties out. It's a good start.
That was a great start. Good job.
It's a lot of stuff.
If you've been with us long, you all know I always say you got to make a mess to clean a mess.
Yeah, and to clean that mess, you got to light a fire. A big one. Yeah, I'm seeing though, I know the trunk obviously is rotted where it broke, but you know, you saw me, I cut a whole bunch of firewood rounds over there. I just thought instead of cutting off a big one and having to put it up, I'll go ahead and cut it into length. But those are healthy, very healthy. So ideally, if we can get this trimmed all the way back to where the first main branches split out, I'm gonna see how far up that rot goes from the base of the trunk, and we may be able to save that and get it milled down the road.
That would be super awesome.
Yeah.
I'd be very excited about that.
I'm sweaty.
Yeah, it's hot out here. I was telling them, you're carrying a heavy chainsaw. It has a 24-inch bar. Like, that's just not the easiest task. And I'm super thankful for you.
Well, and I mentioned before we got started, ideally I'd be using my Husqvarna battery powered. That thing is built for limbing and bucking, at least up at the further top branches. That big 24 I use for dropping really big trees like this guy, because this thing's every bit of 24 to 32 inches in diameter easily. So yeah, it's a little heavy, but the nice thing about the 24, you know, again, it's heavier to hold it out right here, but when I know like I'm cutting these trees and there may be some whip and some snap, I can at least stand back and keep myself safer. Plus I have a little more leverage to keep it from kicking back or anything.
Okay.
So, you know, pros and cons, but I think a 24-inch bar on that big of a chainsaw is kind of a Kyle-sized saw.
I agree, babe.
I like Kyle-sized. So these are things to keep in mind. I had to cut this guy. This is, I mean, we're full pressure into that. And so any cut that I try to make on this side of those pressure points, whether with a tree like this or the ground, that's where you get in harm's way by trying to cut right through that, because there's so much twist and torque and tension on that you get your saw in there and your saw is in danger, you're in danger. You don't know what the tree is going to do if and when it does let go. So that's why I try to work backwards this way, get all the way down to all the contact points, like that one in the ground, this one here, and then we can assess, you know, which way it may go. I could bring the tractor over, just do a little bit of nudging, kind of see where the looser points are, if you will. You just got to take your time and be very careful.
Thanks for joining the party, Daisy. Lou's being an acrobat over here. Gosh, they are just having a heyday. They're having a leaf day.
Having a leaf day.
You guys are having a leaf day.
It does make the sweat feel a lot more worth it. Like, you know, before these would get cut down and they just go brown and then I'd drag them over and burn them all, but it's such a joy to get to let them have it, and it's good for them. What a weird dynamic, Luigi. I like it.
Yeah, you guys are super happy, and I am happy for you. Daisy, always by herself.
I'm crazy Daisy, Mom.
I know it. Love it.
I don't think they even know that there's just as much on the backside.
Oh, I'm sure they don't.
Here you go, Bluesy. I cut most of that stuff down, honey.
You're so brave. They are making it super easy on us today. We don't even have to walk around. They're staying in this section and just eating leaves nonstop. So I'm super happy that we're able to provide this for them, and that even though we have broken trees, at least our goats get to enjoy them. spruce was throwing a little bit of a fit over here and like pushing on the tree and talking to little Mario.
No, not spruce.
It's like he doesn't want to share or something. Look at the resemblance in little Mario and Duke's colors. They definitely are colored like their dad. That must feel real good, little Mario. She wanted a head ornament.
It's a crown, mother.
Oh, my bad. Well, it's the next day, and when we got done grazing the animals last night and Kyle got done chainsawing, we were pooped.
Pooped.
We were so tired.
Can you say poop? We talk about poop all the time.
We talk about poop all the time. You can say it. It's fine.
Now that tree that we were working on yesterday, plenty more to do. See how big that guy is. I'm probably gonna get the tractor out, do a little bit of pushing, kind of seeing how it reacts and whatnot. But I did mention another branch that came down. In fact, when we first bought the property, this big oak behind me with that little branch sticking out, there was a big branch that came down, and you don't think they're that big until they're out of the tree and on the ground. This is just a branch, not a tree. Look how big this thing is.
This has to be a foot in diameter.
Close. I think my boot is about a foot, so we're maybe 10-ish inches.
All right.
But that will make firewood, tons of big firewood. I can split that into 2, 3, maybe 4 pieces, and it's just a branch from that massive oak tree. And I've been a little bit concerned, specifically with this one right here. It's not technically hanging over the shed. It's not technically hanging over the camper. It's just that I keep a bunch of stuff right here. And so I was keeping an eye on it. But this one actually broke from right there. And that rope, I can only imagine, went on a bunch of years ago. It just snapped.
And it hit the ground hard.
Bruno, are you gonna take care of that one for me, bud?
Thanks, Bruno.
What a boy. Guys, look at this. I don't know if you can tell that divot. I mean, that's just where that branch hit. So imagine, Bruno's gonna help me clean this up. He's got a little ways to go. But imagine the kind of damage a full tree like that one over there can do. Look at my poor little cedar, which, if I'm being honest,
you were never going to use it again anyway.
Well, not out here. I mean, I was like on our little lawn area over there in front of the camper.
Yeah.
But yeah, for out here, big spread stuff, you need one of those big pull behinds. I think Retired Ralph might have one.
Or Doss Farms.
If not, I know Doss Farms does. There may be a couple of them. I'm not really sure. But that thing I can pull around on the four-wheeler or the tractor or whatever, and that would be more applicable for out here. Stan, if you're watching, my man, as you guys know, Stan is one of my country neighbors out here. Great guy, helps in a lot of different scenarios. This is a wood stove he helped us score, and I'm kind of storing it here because we had too good of a deal. He and I grabbed the trailer, took my tractor with the forks, and we got it out of this guy's little house, and it was kind of exciting. That is a very heavy duty wood stove. I want to say maybe 3/8 inch steel, if not more in some places. And it took a big brunt of the hit. And I think the body of it is actually okay. I'll get this pulled off today with the tractor. And I think the body's okay, but I think the legs may have taken a little bit of bend in them. Fortunately, I know some guys, we can get it back in functioning order. But it's just the reality of these kinds of storms and these limbs coming down and everything, and it can be very dangerous.
The other thing too that we have to be thankful for is look how close it is to the shed. It's probably within 10 feet of the shed.
Yeah, I think so.
So again, I think we just have to be super grateful and know that we're blessed and we're being protected.
Absolutely.
I still get emotional thinking about the office, thinking about the tree and all that. But I know that we're protected, and I just keep thanking the Lord. You know?
Exactly. Well, my chains are sharpened. I got the call this morning, and the guys they're hustling. I know that every other guy out there that has property or a business, like I just saw so many chains hung up waiting to be sharpened, and those guys were working so fast, but they were still professional and polite, because I really appreciate small local businesses like that, and I try to support them. I love Menards. I love the big box stores just of the variety, but when you need that specialty shop, this is the place to go.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go grab those, get this cut up, probably work on that guy a little bit more, and I'm 100% sure Shannon's gonna say, hey, how about that chicken coop? We need to get that subfloor going. Bugs?
Yeah, sorry.
That's all right.
I am, but at the same time, stuff like this takes precedence because, I mean, we've got to clean it up. It's a mess everywhere.
we've let things like this sit before, and it just kind of wears on you, sits in the back of your mind, and you feel like there's always an obligation, something you got to do on top of everything else you got to do out here. So we're going to try to stay on course, get this stuff taken care of, and then get back to our normal routine of all the other million projects.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. And I do want to give a little update on Bruno. I took him on a walk this morning. We went around the whole trail, and he did not have a leash on the whole entire time and obeyed me and did awesome. I'm super proud of him.
Yeah,
he did great.
I think we really celebrate this more than they do, because they don't have to deal with him whenever he's being a tyrant.
Yeah.
But yeah, last night we had a
step.
nice relaxing evening after all the hard work. We just sat out here. The temperature was perfect. Bruno came out, turned on some music, and just hung out.
Yep.
And he's really coming along. He's doing awesome. And we are now 3.5 months old.
And he's doing so good.
I'm gonna clean up this tree for you, okay?
Thank you.
I'll start here.
That's a good idea.
I charge $40 an hour.
Whoa, that's kind of steep.
Or 6 treats an hour, whichever one you prefer.
Okay, all right. We'll check out those treats.
Oh man, he's wanting to dig. Well, I got to get it out of the ground somehow. Silly boy.
Oh, he's so good.
He's a good boy. Well, guys, we hope and pray that anybody else that was affected by the storms, I know there were a lot of folks that had it a lot worse than us, even just within 5-10 miles of here.
Yep.
Bruno is commencing cleanup project over here.
He's debarking the tree.
I'll get it. Don't worry about it. Keep talking. But seriously, very, very thankful for the protection, the blessings that were poured upon us through this storm. Again, our prayers go out to you guys if any of you suffered much worse damage. Hopefully no injury or loss or anything, but...
Or any upcoming storms that are coming your way, because I know there's still some brewing out there.
Oh yeah, there's plenty more ahead. This is just the beginning of the season, and this is kind of what we deal with in this part of the country and about 6, 7, 8 other states around us.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. Guys, we love and appreciate each and every one of you. We thank you so much for coming along on this journey with us. And as always, we'll see you in the next one.
Bye. Got it.
Got a big piece there. Look at that. Look at that big piece, boyfriend. I tell you what, this is a good one right here. Oh, yeah. Nobody else could have got that but me.
Good job, Bruno, man.
You've only got about 18 more feet to go, dude. You can't get stuck on that one. You got to go back to the limb.
Take more off.
No, I don't really.